Joining me tonight, Congressman Jim McDermott of Washington. Congressman, always a pleasure. Good to have you with us. Are Leon Panetta and Hillary Clinton, are they correct on this? Should we have armed the rebels in Syria sooner, and would it be a different scenario? Your thoughts?
My feeling was the president acted very judiciously, and I stand with the president on this. We had a president named George Bush who jumped in and without thinking about what he was doing and got in up over his neck in both Afghanistan and Iraq. And President Obama looked at that and said, no, I'm going to think very carefully about what I do. And the questions he raised are the questions that still exist today. Exactly who are we arming, and how much should we arm them, and where should we do it? Are we going to give them just handguns or rifles? Are we going to give them machine guns? Are we going to give them anti-tank weaponry? What are we going to do? When we say we're going to arm the moderate rebels, who are we talking about, and what's the end game in all that? I still think the president is acting in a judicious way.
What about the vote last week? What did the president get, and where, in your opinion, are we?
Well, I think he got only a half a loaf. He got the ability to arm them. I'm not sure how long it's going to last because it ends shortly into December. So we're going to be back in session deciding whether we're going to give him the authorization to put troops on the ground in Syria. He says he doesn't want it, but everybody is suggesting that that's what's going to happen. And I think that we have to have that debate. The Congress has to debate this issue and give the president the authority. We cannot allow the president to be out there making unilateral decisions, because that's not the way a democracy works. It is of the people. That's where the power comes from.
So you think that there is going to be a heated debate very soon about troops on the ground, and what's your pulse on that? Would you go along with that?
I personally would be very, very reluctant. You know, we got a situation right now where the Saudis aren't doing anything. The Jordanians are terribly pressed by all the refugees in Jordan. The Turks are pressed by all sorts of people going across the border into Turkey. But still the question remains, who are those troops that are going to be on the ground if they're not going to be Americans? And I really think that the American people have to be confronted with this and admit that we are committing ourselves. The generals say this is going to be a long war. This is going to be over in 3 months. Like, you know, Rumsfeld told us we'd be in and out of Iraq in 90 days. Yeah. What a bunch of nonsense. So no one should think that going into this.
So finally, Congressman, it's going to come down to intel, isn't it? I mean, intel is going to have to play a big part. We have to know who these arms are going into the hands of. And do you think we'll ever know that?
Well, I think there's always going to be some measure of judgment that the president, and this is the heavy part of his job. He has to make a decision on imperfect intelligence. He will never know exactly what he's getting into. And I think that that's why it's such a tough decision to make. But I don't think it should be done recklessly.
Yeah, there are no easy options. There are no easy answers. Congressman Jim McDermott of Washington, good to have you with us tonight, sir. Thank you. That's the Ed Show. I'm Ed Schultz, Politics Station, with Reverend Al Sharpton starts right now. Good evening, Rev.
Good evening, Ed, and thanks.